Do you see how cute that puppy was? It was so cute. We are now, oh, this puppy isn't cute. That puppy there does not get to open the vlog. I'm heading home today. It's a bit warm. I wore my coat this morning because it was slamming it down with rain as I left. But now it's very toasty and I'm a bit overdressed. Be interested in how long a video could be where I rhyme at the end of every single clip? That'd be pretty funny. See, not very long though, because I can't do it now. A relatively chilled out day today because it was kind of the end of the sprint. We were trying to get something through test. So we were kind of just all testing stuff, raised a couple of bugs, fixed a couple of bugs. We had a review session, which I led, and then we did a retrospective. And then we came out of that and then realised that one of my fixes for a bug broke something else. So the last half hour was me like trying to get this fix back in. I basically copied and pasted a div twice, like an idiot. So we had a relatively nice day today, been jolly good fun. But then obviously came back, had our shopping, as we normally do, chilled out for a bit, watching TV with the bae. She went off to bed and I've been renaming nougat packages and republishing everything up so that I can progress forward further into my project. I'm trying to get a bit more time and I'm trying to be a bit more aggressive with keeping the time that I have available by using my laptop a little bit more. I've been letting it slip and my deadline's slipping away from me. That thing about like if you have a job that you enjoy and you want to do all the time and you find challenging, then you find it quite difficult to find time outside of work to do basically more work, you know? I'm going to start, I've got quite a lot of holiday left. I'm going to start booking holiday just to do work at home, I think. Because I've got more holiday than Laura. It depends if we actually go on an actual holiday this year, we don't know yet. Essentially another half day today because we've got planning this morning and we're still waiting for sign off on the thing that I fixed late last night. It's going to be a long day though because I'm going to a meetup thing after work. So I've parked in the other park and ride, hence why I'm coming in the opposite direction. Christ, the traffic to get here was atrocious. Man, I should have brought my longboard, that was a good idea. It's also so warm as well. We've had an atrocious day today. It's just been meetings flat out. We had like planning and then after planning we discovered that we need to plan more stuff and then maybe all of the stories we just planned we're going to can and just do another 3 instead that we haven't planned yet. Oh, not fun. Yeah, so I'm currently about 10 minutes late to a meetup about the Agile Mindset, which I'm actually quite looking forward to. This is something I need to get more in the handle of, you know? What I'm struggling with at the moment is like the size of a story and the size of a task and the size of epics and features, you know? It was really interesting and I haven't eaten since lunchtime, but I managed to nab 2 slices of pizza on the way out and they were delicious. It's about like agile mindset and why it's important and how to develop it, and it was really interesting. And it was the kind of one, there was a couple of things that like stuck out to me. One thing he said that like the software crisis of the 90s isn't really over, we just hide it better. First one was that he has a friend who was working in an agile environment who didn't deliver anything for 2 years, and when they delivered it, it was wrong and it was something they spotted ages ago but they glossed over it until the last minute and then they cancelled it after 2 years. That struck home for reasons you could probably imagine. I'm going to reevaluate, try and keep that in mind while I'm reevaluating and prioritising the work that I'm doing on my own project, because I feel like I'm stumbling into that route and I can see me spending hours and hours and hours of time on it and then never doing it. There was another one as well, but that was more about something for work, and to be honest with you I've forgotten it, it's on my notepad. But I know it wasn't important for like you or I. It's important for me to work. I was going to be like, hey, dibble. Otherwise though, I'm roaming the streets, I'm looking for food, nice food, or I'll go home and have some beans on toast. Let's try a little bit of that. Let's get it home first though. It's so warm right now, but the question I need to ask myself is, what is my MVP? What is my minimum viable product? And why is it, is it possible for my existing platform that I currently own that works with a command line interface, can I put that on the web just by changing the little thing that talks to it, or just by integrating it in with the security service? Can I host that in Service Fabric, basically? I think the answer is yes. I think I can have a server that's running that instance and it just does one job at a time, and that'll be enough. That'll be enough for now, and then I start to pull parts out of it instead of going, right, this is what I want. Instead of doing it the waterfall way, we're going, this is what I want it to be, let's make that. Deal with what you've got, get it out there, find out whether people like it, whether they would improve it in certain ways, how they'd improve it, do it that way. You know what I mean? I feel like people should get used to vloggers. It can't be that weird, surely. Been catching up with Laura. I didn't get back too late. I was actually back like before 8. Well, I finished at 8 o'clock. Got back about before 8:30. Had my dinner, which was delicious. I'm normally not back till like gone 9. So we had our like with normal stuff. Or did we watch a TV program? No, we just kind of watched YouTube videos. Laura did some stuff. I did some stuff. Sorted out a clothes wash, which we didn't do at the weekend because of Dan. And like about 12:30. We were like an hour behind somehow because we'd finished, like by the time we'd finished our cups of tea and whatnot, it was about 10:30. Laura said she was going to go to bed, and then we just had like an hour long rant about our days, basically. So she's having like things stressing her out, things stressing me out. We had a great time. Otherwise, because of that, I was too animated in order to go to bed at about 11:30, so I've stayed up an extra hour. And I am now thinking of going. What I am thinking about, can I show you? So, basically, here's what I'm thinking. So far, I basically have like this entire chunk here. I have, but all on one machine. If I was to build out the web end, the security service, obviously for security reasons, and then a way to store the source code, I can just plug in using a message queue. All I need to do then is on a different interface to my existing platform that currently exists, use that, run that as a trusted executable. There'll be a little bit of finicky stuff going in there. Run it basically as a Windows service. It just sits there, listens to messages, does it. And that basically acts as like my first node. That is a working system in the cloud. Then what I do is start to pull in all of this information, start to extract parts out of it rather than trying to go from nothing to everything. Go from the things that I need, i.e. the security service, presentation stuff, storing the source code and being able to access it, all of that stuff. Extract that, which is required. I need to be able to do that. And just bolt on the fucker from the other stuff, and then just get it out, and then it can just be pushed up, job done. And yeah, it'll be terrible, it'll be really slow, because it'll be running on one computer, and that computer will probably be Atlas, until I can run all the others in the cloud, and then the other one will just be Atlas, running permanently. It'll be slow as hell, but then we can start building it up, then we can actually start paying attention to and focusing on extending that area, moving it into the cloud so that it can be run on multiple machines rather than just Atlas. And I don't have to promise this world of being able to do this thing and controlling all of this complexity, because I don't need to do it yet. I can focus on other areas. I can focus on like pulling out the part that actually focuses on what's being tested. That can be pulled out next, and all of that kind of stuff. And that kind of agile approach should make it a lot easier to actually deliver something, rather than continue to like try and perfect and make it better and try and get it till there, because it's never going to be ready. You've got to get past the point of view where it's going to be finished and you just draw a line under it and go bam. That's not going to happen. I basically just get it MVP, polish it, test it as much as I can, try and get someone to use it if I can, and get a friendly end user. And then as it gets better, then I can start talking about marketing it and start actually getting it in front of people. And it can exist in the world, used. And then as it gets better and better and better, I can get more and more comfortable selling it and marketing it for the brilliant thing it's going to be. But it's going to be a fight to get to that point. So, let's start that tomorrow. Although, by the way, this diagram is actually a little bit out of date. They aren't VMs, they're Docker containers. And it'll work ever so slightly differently to that, but that's what it's going to look like. I'm hoping today for a day where we can do some programming instead of planning, but I think half the day it's still going to be planning. I have quite a big iteration coming where we're trying to shift like the kind of way that we've done stuff from like a UI perspective, from like this kind of linear path to kind of this mapped world where you kind of add things to stuff rather than being forced and railroaded down this thing. So instead of like having essentially an application, you have an entity which has applications, if that makes sense. Instead of like having that entity within an application, you have the entity separate to the application, and then have applications that apply to that entity instead, which is a fundamental shift in the way that we're doing things. And it's going to be a big story, and that's what we're trying to get in through planning today. Yesterday we planned a couple of features which we're not going to be able to do now, I don't think, because of this story, but basically the business have changed their mind a little bit. They wanted one thing, and now we've got to make the other thing so that they can see it quickly. The faster we can throw together this new world, the sooner they'll be able to tell us that which one they prefer, essentially. But anyway, the new world is like, it's much better designed. It should be a lot more user friendly. It's one of the things where, like, some users prefer one way, some users prefer the other way. Which ones are most important? Thankfully, we saw the light, and we had a day of development today. We had a day to draw a line under the sand. We feel like we need to know more about the architecture of the thing we're going to make before we plan it. We had a pretty good day today. I was spinning up new microservices, getting all that kind of stuff up and running, which was pretty good. Even had a productive evening programming at home. Got a good 2 hours of programming done. About half hour, 45 minutes of that was spent trying to find a really weird mistake. I basically made this little bit of, not middleware, it's a provider where that I can load in the Service Fabric settings into my project and save them in runtime, and then whenever you change them in Service Fabric, it will dynamically reload them into all of the objects, which is really, really cool. But the problem I was having was basically that the settings weren't being populated. I was just getting null through all the time, and I'm like, where is this wrong? And I was looking at all the configuration, I'm like, have I named all my objects right? Is it serializing properly? What's going on here? I open up, which is in a separate project because I knew you packaged it, opened up that one, and I never called the load button. You have to override. I did like all of the other implementation, but I never overrid the load button. So it never used my loading, it just used its current one, which was really dumb, basically. If it reloaded, if I edited the file, it picked it up, but it wouldn't do it on runtime, because I hadn't hooked that bit up. I'd only hooked up reloading like a fool. That's all up and running now. I have now a link into my other services. Basically the reason I was picking this up was because I need to push in information about the other services, i.e. what endpoints you need to hit, and that's going to be loaded from Service Fabric. So it's all very cool and very clever. Very cool, very clever. So yeah, remaking progress again. Just need to be faster. Another whole day flies by, and we've had a productive day again at work, but not very much of a productive one back at the rounds. I was quite late back from work, and I had to be keeping Laura busy on a Thursday. So we had some dinner. We tried to make these pork wrap things when Dad was here. I cremated them. You have to like fry the wraps for a really long time. Did them today and just couldn't pull them off properly. And like, we did them once for Beth and Ben, and we pulled it off on like, first time we ever did that. Wham bam, thank you man, it was delicious. I reckon we haven't had something like that in ages. Tried to do them twice this week. Once under pressure with Dad, burnt them. Secondly, today, no pressure at all. Fucked it up again. I don't know how we did it the first time. And then otherwise we were looking at holidays and stuff, trying to figure out what we can do there. I tried to do a little bit of time programming on my own project. I knew as soon as Laura went to bed, I'm like, I'm not going to get anything done here. But I've been trying to get this thing up and running, where I'm able to call through to the back-end service, and the back-end service is able to register me a person, and it's just so slow progress. It's really demoralising. But another thing though, we're working on this thing at work today. I managed to finish off a microservice, and now it's our first microservice where we need to get information from 2 different APIs at once. We want to make one request to the API gateway, and the API gateway needs to manage the request and get 2 different pieces of information. And it's the first time we need to do that, and I've got to think of a way of doing it. But I was coming home and I'm like, you know what would be a good way of doing it? This way. And we can't do it that way at work. And it's the way that I'm going to throw it together for my project. But I'm like, if you're clever about that, you could make that in a really generic, reusable way. Like the way we've done our API gateway at work at the moment is really clever. Like it's just essentially like routing tables and whatnot. Like you could easily open source that. And I think we're planning at work as setting up public GitHub page, so we can open source things like that, I believe. Part of our like career development thing, someone else has that, I have like interviews and stuff. I've kind of already done that, so I'm going to help them and try and set up a technical test on our public GitHub when we finally set it up. But yeah, like, and I'm thinking like the way that like that could be open sourced, and the thing that I've got in my head could be open sourced as well. So I'm thinking about throwing one together when I do my own API gateway. So yeah, it's going to be quite niche because it'll be like Service Fabric-y, but if you like built it in a way where you can pull it away so that it's not just Service Fabric, it's other things as well, so it could just like talk to reverse proxies or whatever, then it'd be pretty cool. But yeah, it's like an integration of Swagger and stuff to make one nice cool thing. Basically just been getting excited about doing that. I was getting excited all about doing that, and then came home trying to sort out stuff with Laura. But yeah, we're struggling to try and find what we can want to do for a holiday, because we're quite limited for time, to be honest. But we both really want to get away for a week. I feel like I've been working for friggin' ages, and I just want to kind of, we both just want a break, a nice just chill out, relaxing, do nothing break. I feel like we need a little bit of refreshing. But God, and I'm getting to the point where I'm thinking about using holiday to do programming at home on my own project, so that's how dire it's got for me. Every morning, me and this other guy from work, he works in like business, he's something to do with our project. He's like a point of contact between us and for like requirements and like clarification and stuff. Every day we get on the same bus, and basically whoever gets off the bus first, Bags is walking down this alleyway. He won't walk down this alleyway, now I've come down it, and if he's off the bus first, and he goes to the alleyway first, I won't. I have an interesting API gateway problem to solve today, and I have to do it kind of with my hands tied, because I think I was saying yesterday that I think I have a really good concept for one, but we can't use it at work because of the infrastructure we've already got. Although I'm going to bring it up basically. Slash, I want to kind of throw together a proof of concept, and then I'll be like, hey guys, I think we've fucked up a little bit, boys. Yeah, essentially, we need to soup up our API gateway so that it can do, so you can ask it one thing and it will bring back information from two different places. Probably a little bit late in the video for people from work to be seeing this now, but we just went to the pub after work because it's one of the contractors' last days today, and we're getting served at the bar, and the bar lady behind the bar says, do you make videos? Like, one person was aware that I made videos, but now my entire team knows, they know the channel, so that's great, isn't it? I'm totally aware that it's a risk I run, because quite a lot of kind of students who come to Bath kind of stumble upon my videos at some point, depending on how many they watch. They possibly recognise me, because obviously I got recognised in like Specsavers or whatever, and I was like, you know, I had a chat with her, whatever, she's second year, so I assume she doesn't watch now. If you do, hello. Just had a solid good 2 hours in the pub. It's bank holiday weekend, let's chill out for a bit, shall we? I do want to have a play with making my API gateway proof of concept thing, see how well it works, but yeah, otherwise I'm just wandering to that. Don't know when the park and ride is. I'm going to end this video here, ladies and gentlemen. We are heading off to bed. I haven't done anything this evening, but it's bank holiday weekend. We have some adventuring to do, so come on back and let's have a whale of a weekend. I'm going to bed. Catch you later.